weird lately with Facebook. I don't know, Facebook and Zoom are together now.
What are we doing? You do what? Oh, it's kind of like a bad dream. Are we good to go?
When you're ready, sir. Let's do it.
Welcome to Rotary. It's Thursday, must be Rotary. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. So nice to see some great conversation, smiling faces. If you're joining us virtually, please put your name in the chat. And Egan's, would you join me up? And she's going to help us with the 4-way test and the land acknowledgement. Yolanda.
Thank you. All right, so everyone that's joined me in the 4-way test. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you. And please remain standing for the land acknowledgement. I'd also like you all to join me in the land acknowledgement. So please let me hear your voices as we acknowledge the land on which we reside. We acknowledge that our meeting today is taking place on the traditional homeland of the Puyallup people. We acknowledge that this land was not freely ceded to the settlers who claimed it. We recognize and honor the significance of this land and its waters to the Puyallup people who have lived on and stewarded this land for centuries and continue to do so today. You may be seated, and thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you. Thank you, Yolanda. Thanks. Please be seated. Come on up, Lacey. Lacey Bethelman is going to help us today with a reflection. Lacey.
All right. This is my first time doing this, so just please have mercy on me. But the reflection today comes from a book I really love. It's like a little action reflection book called The Pivot Year. So I'll share that and then kind of speak about it. So, to be truly alive is, in many ways, to embody a slowness of living. It is to stretch and savor the precious little things. It is to create pockets of calm out of ordinary hours. And it is to be in them completely. It is the ability to focus more intently on what's in front of you without your mind wandering to what isn't. It's the capacity to lean into the experience you're given, really realizing at last that they're not all good nor bad, but a warped mindset can make it seem so. You can shift your attention, and as you direct your focus toward the parallel realities, you are one thought away from living. So I want you to think of a time in your life when you were the happiest and most at peace. Where were you? Who was with you? What were you doing, and what mattered most to you at that time? As we move through our day-to-day, we can forget to check in with ourselves. In fact, I lose track of days, months, and even years sometimes where I have not felt a moment of happiness or peace. But what if we all woke up each morning with the intent to check in on ourselves? What are we excited about for the day? Where can we create little bits of excitement throughout our day? And where are moments that we can stop and be fully present with those that we love? There was a period of time in my life in my 20s where I was single and I pretended I was dating myself. And I would ask myself every day, I'd say, okay, Lacey, what would your dream boyfriend do for you today? Or what would you do with him today? And some days I would buy myself a cup of fancy coffee because I couldn't really afford it back then. Other days I would just go on a walk in the park by myself. And other days I would sit in my favorite park and just sit on a bench and enjoy the view and pretend I was with someone I love. And other days, you know, it's just cuddling on the couch with your blanket and watching a movie. But I challenge us all to pretend like we're dating ourselves each day and treat ourselves to little moments every day that make us feel most alive.
Thank you, Lacey. Thank you. She's one of our newest Rotarians. Thanks again, Lacey. Okay, welcome visiting Rotarians and members with guests. Please stand, and Kathy Hall's going to wander around with a microphone. So Kathy Hall, visiting Rotarians, please tell us where you're visiting from, and members, please introduce your guests. So Emily's back there.
Hi everyone, Emily from TCC Foundation. I have the honor to have two people who are possible prospects for us. Jennifer Ward from Rainier Scholars. Yay. And then Desiree Wilkins Finch from Tacoma Urban League.
Hi, Sarah Rumba, I'm City of Tacoma Council, and I want to introduce this amazing woman that I met because she called me. Her name is Alyssa Lee, and she is one of our newest Parks Commissioners. So I just wanted to have her come, see what Rotary is, and thank you for all your support.
Jim Tanas from the club. It is my honor to embarrass my son Ryan. His nickname's Sugar Bear because he's very shy, right? So the fact I'm calling him out is really uncomfortable, isn't it? Anyway, welcome my son Ryan.
Hey, welcome, Ryan.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ruth Nasseri, the exchange student from Uganda, East Africa. Recently, I had a Rotary presentation at the Rotary Club of Maple Valley, and it went really, really well. It's beautiful.
Hello. Everybody, I'm Emil, the exchange student from Germany. Last week I went on a trip with most of the other exchange students to Canada, Vancouver Island, and for the video orientation, we did some fun stuff like axe throwing, curling, seeing some whales, hike. It was just a lot of fun. And yesterday I changed to my second and a half host family. I'm just staying with them for a few weeks, and then I'm changing to my third host family.
Thank you. Welcome. Thanks, anyone else? Anyone else? Thank you, Kathy. Okay, let's recognize Rotary anniversary.
Wait. I've got a live one on YouTube. His name is Chris Surface.
We're doing our best here, Chris. We miss you. And our anniversaries. Please stand to be recognized when you hear your name. Fred Matei. I think I saw Freddie, probably down south. Jerry McLaughlin. Jerry here today? Here a couple of weeks ago. Sean Sylvia. Lori Jenkins. Marcia Burns. Marcia is going to be our next treasurer, by the way, so let's give Marcia a big hand. That is service above self. Thanks, Marcia. Nick Frank is Nick, no, and Brian Heaven. Thank you. Okay, Kathy Willis and Cindy Grady are going to come up and we're going to play a little, talk about the auction and play a game. So where are Cindy and Kathy? Here they are. Saw Kathy with a mouthful.
That's okay, I go first.
Good afternoon, everybody. Kathy and I are happy to be here to facilitate our game of Auction Bingo, featuring some of the great items that have been turned in to date. While you pull out those bingo cards, they're in front of you on the table. They're kind of blue and white. I'd like Kathy to share some important details. Miss Kathy?
Oh, I probably don't need the mic. So how many of you have noticed the gold stars on the badge board? You get a, thank you. So my goal is to have a star on every single place on that badge board. You can get a star for buying a raffle ticket, for being a sponsor. Next week, we'll start putting stars on for people who have bought their auction tickets. And then our sponsors are also noted on there. Tickets, by the way, are $150 a piece. And if you're a sponsor, please only buy tickets if you need more than what your sponsorship allows for. Raffle tickets are $50. So far, we have 41 sponsors who contributed $97,500. Great number. Last year, we raised $113,000 from sponsors. Yes. Yeah. Well, right. So you have a little ways to go. Our goal this year, because we knew we were losing some sponsors, is to raise $100,000. So we're this close to the $100,000. If you've been thinking about being a sponsor, please turn in a form, which are on the desk or possibly in your Yelp. 190 items with a value of over $35,000, plus some amazing buy it now items. Scotch and yachting, which could raise up to $4,000 if everybody buys those. Paella dinner with Sharon and Barry. Lots of great things. The committees, Ruth and Emil are going to do a dinner with German food and Ugandan food. Yeah.
Limited seating.
Yeah, thank you, Cindy. Limited seating. So there's all sorts of, oh, Mike Dunbar. I just saw your little head there. Salmon dinner with Mike Dunbar. Who can ask for more? I haven't seen Jennifer. You can learn to weld with Jennifer Wetterman. So again, lots of great ideas, but we need more. Harrison, are you going to take anybody for a hike up Mount Rainier? Think about that. John Schneider said he turned in his golf. So please, I keep hearing people say, I've got items, I've got items, I've got items.
We need the forms.
Yeah, thank you. This is your conscience speaking. Please turn in your form. Committee baskets are great. Most of our committees are participating. If you're on a committee and you've not contributed to a basket yet, get busy and fill out a procurement form and support that committee. Okay, but now back to Cindy.
Okay. Due to the time constraint, the first person who has a bingo by filling your squares across, up and down, diagonal, corner to corner, whatever, you will win a $15 Starbucks card. So let's get going. The first square is International Restaurants.
Okay,
Have a pen.
if you got that on your form, just cross it off. Yeah, that's from the International Services Committee, and it's going to be a plethora of gift cards.
Now try food from Tacoma restaurants. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay, the Vacation on the Oregon Coast.
Okay, that's a top block, like Canada Beach. Vacation on the Oregon coast. If you got that square, cross it off.
And drum roll, Paella with the Bensons.
Okay, cross that one off if it's on your card. Again, you go to Lake Bay. They plan for when the tides in or out one way. And July 19th. Oh, okay.
To be followed by salmon dinner with the Dunbars, and we're pulling these randomly.
Yeah. Okay. Have you got salmon dinner with the Dunbars on your card? Okay, no.
Now, next, gold bracelet from Ben Bridge Jewelers.
Ooh, Kathy.
Close.
Close. Okay, Kathy.
Close, not good enough. Keep going. Dinner with Emil and Ruth.
All right. That's on your card. Cross it off.
Next, private flight to the San Juans with Ray Schuler.
That's being sponsored by the Rotarians of the Year. You're going to get gift card to go with the flight. Will you spend the night or 2 nights up in San Juan?
Yes.
Does it say Kenmore Air Flight? Is that one?
No, no, this is with Ray Schuler. Sounders tickets.
And his nephew, Sean Henderson, who's the director of scouting, has donated plexi tickets for us.
More food, Italian dinner with Miriam and Michelle.
Okay.
Michelle's in Cologne.
Does somebody have me know?
Hand up.
All right. Okay, well, thanks for playing. Take that list of items with you to refresh your memory and see what's missing, donate some items, and let's have a fantastic auction.
Thank you. What wonderful service. Thanks, Kathy, Cindy. Thank you very much. And I was one item short. Oh, well. Dan Worth, where's Dan? He's with the American Red Cross, and he's our meeting sponsor this week. So let's give Dan a warm welcome. Dan.
Good afternoon.
Hi, Dan.
Hey,
Happy
Dan.
belated birthday.
Happy belated birthday to you, Kirsten.
Thank you.
For those of you who don't know, Kirsten and I are birthday twins. I just got to say this, and I think a lot of times we want to get up here and be all happy-go-lucky. I'm in a really funky mood today, and I just want to own that, and be honest with you guys. I'm just not in a great headspace, so I'm not going to fake it. And I'm just going to be real with y'all that it's kind of a hard day. I do feel like I'm going to I loved your reflection today, Lacey, and I feel like dating yourself. Not I'm old dating yourself, but I think taking that time to have that personal care and show that love of self and that connection is just so invaluable and important. So thank you for that. I love Rotary. I love everything that's happened these last 5 years since Becky Fontaine introduced me to Rotary. And I'm so blessed to be in this room. There's so many great friends, colleagues, acquaintances. It's been such a blessing to be able to come to Rotary on Thursdays. I block it off on my calendar. It's an important part of my week. It's become an important part of my life, and I'm very grateful for that. So thank you so much to all the Rotarians in the room. Now, the business, I wanted to let you all know, if you don't know, March is Red Cross Month. And so we encourage folks to get engaged with the Red Cross in some way, shape, or form. And one of those ways is on your, actually two of those ways is on everybody's table. We're hosting a blood drive at 1201 Pacific, thanks to Doug Hedger, another Rotary member. At Banner Bank is co-hosting that blood drive, and our Rotary Projects Committee is serving as blood donor ambassadors, and will be there to greet everyone who comes through the door. So scan the QR code, find a time, and come donate blood with us. And then we are also hosting a Heroes Dinner, May 3rd, Saturday, May 3rd. You all may be familiar with a Heroes Breakfast that was started a little over 25 years ago in a small town south of Seattle named, I can't think of it. What is it?
Tacoma.
What? Tacoma. Oh, right, Tacoma. Thank you. Tacoma, Washington. We actually started the Heroes event series for the National American Red Cross. That has now been replicated at cities across the country. It's a wonderful model, and we have kind of shifted our fundraising model from a breakfast to a dinner. This will be the second year that we'll be hosting a dinner Saturday evening, May 3rd at the MOHI, the Museum of History and Industry on South Lake Union. So our chapter, in collaboration with our King County chapter, we host that event every year. So we encourage you to consider coming up and supporting that event. So that is the conclusion of my sponsorship. Back over to you.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you very much. Okay, I'd like to introduce Sarah Rumbach, Rotarian and council member extraordinaire. Come on up, Sarah. And she's going to introduce our program for today. Sarah.
Okay, so before I introduce our most amazing Public Works Director for the city of Tacoma, I just want to say that Ruth didn't tell you this, but she's in the play Chicago at Stadium High School. She told me to buy tickets for either March 27th or 28th, so we're going on the 27th. And I think everyone, if you just go to Stadium High School and put in Chicago, the play will show up. It's paperback tickets. Get your tickets, it's worth it to come. She had to learn to sing and to dance. She's gonna be fabulous if we all show up and scream and yell for her. So, thank you. All right. There just isn't time on the show, on here to like give a little thing when you come up. So I want to make sure I did this. All right, so I was thinking it would be great if we got some information on our street initiative that's gonna be on the ballot pretty soon. And I invited, Ramiro Chavez to give some information on it. I just want to tell you a little bit about him. It's up here, but as the Public Works Director for the city of Tacoma, Ramiro Chavez is responsible for city's facilities management and real property services, street operations, ground maintenance, street lights and traffic signals, capital projects, design and construction services, fleet services, parking management, active transportation and traffic safety programs, commercial vehicle enforcement, and local improvement districts. Oh my God, how do you do all that? You can tell it's a little bit. More than 300 city staff are employed with the Public Works Department, which has a 2023-24 adopted biennial budget of $250 million. I do want to say that I've learned a lot about Ramiro. I'm going to just tell you he likes dogs, so he should be relatable. But secondly, he's from Quito, Ecuador, where my daughter Gabby has been in Ecuador. She comes home April 2nd. She's going to come in and talk about her Rotary project that we all sponsored. But I really appreciate that he's friendly. I've gotten to know him really well. I love people in public works because I love to talk about infrastructure. But I want him to come up and talk about infrastructure and do his slideshow on the street initiative too. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Rumba, and thank you to all of you for the opportunity to speak to you this afternoon to the upcoming Streets Initiative that is a ballot measure. If you're a voter in the city of Tacoma, you will see that on April 22nd, 2025. So we label this as the Streets Initiative number 2. The voters back in 2015 approved 2 propositions, Proposition 3 and Proposition A. And that's what we call the Streets Initiative number 1. And that Proposition 3 included 2 elements on that particular ballot measure, included at 1.5% of the utility tax, and also included a 20 cents per 1,000 evaluation on property tax. And Proposition A included a 0.1% of the sales tax. All those 2 propositions were approved for 10 years. So those will be lapsing in December of this year. That is why the city is moving forward with the Streets Initiative number 2. So I'd like to touch base a little bit on the success of the Streets Initiative number 1. And but primarily give you the premise, the Streets Initiative number 1 was very narrowly focused on addressing residential blocks in Tacoma. That was the purpose and intent of this Streets Initiative number 1. So within that context, one of the successes of this Streets Initiative, in fact, the success of the city as a whole, for every tax dollar, for every dollar that voters approved back in 2015, the value of that dollar today is at $2.27. What does that mean? Back in 2015, those 2 propositions, we assume they will generate just $175 million in the next 10 years. And also we assume that perhaps we're going to be able to generate federal, state, and partnerships along the way. So right now, this proposition at the end of this 2025 has a value of $400 million. Nothing but success on that. So when we embark on this initiative, we targeted that we will be touching just about 5,600 blocks of residential blocks in the city. To give a perspective, our inventory residential blocks, 8,600 blocks. And by the end of this year, we're going to be surpassing that goal, and we're going to be able to touch over 6,000 residential blocks under this streets initiative number 1. Also, we're going to be able to build close to 4,000 new ADA ramps. We have been able to construct 48 school beacons, as well as close to 42,000 of new sidewalks, linear sidewalks. But also, we take pride as to how the transparency the city exercises in everything that we do when we manage taxpayers' dollars. The state auditor last year conducted an audit on the streets initiative number 1 and came out with 0 recommendations and 0 findings. That's a great success. Moving into the streets initiative number 2, without getting too technical, the way we assess the conditions of a street is what we call a pavement condition. It's just a visual rating as to how the streets are behaving. And that rating goes from just 0 to 100. 0 being gravel road, and 100 being a roadway that has just been constructed. Maintaining at 100 level is financially impossible. So industry standard, we need to get up to the 70. That's the magic number that we shoot. That's our goal. So back in 2015, the average PCI rating for the city was about 62, shy of way below the 70 target. With the investment of the streets initiative number 1, we have been able to increase about 2% on the overall system in the city. A significant increase if you factor the many miles that you're responsible to operate. But if we look at the residential blocks and then the arterials, the story is a little bit different. On the residential blocks, the PCI rating back in 2015 was about 63. Now we're at 68, close to the target of 70. That tells you that that investment on the streets initiative number 1 has paid dividends to bring that PCI rating to where we need to be. If you flip the coin, on the arterials, that story is a little bit different. Back in 2015, the average PCI rating, pavement condition on arterials, was 55. Today, we're at 45. And you can tell, you drive the streets of Tacoma, the major arterials. This is no news that I'm telling you. That's where the need is that we need to address. And that is why the streets initiative number 2 will begin in addressing the arterial needs. This graphic, without getting too much into the technical component of this, like any asset, your home. If you don't maintain your roof, if you don't clean your roof, you will have to replace that roof sooner rather than later. So it's the same type of asset management that will go through our streets. We need to invest in maintenance operations to extend the life of the asset. And we don't want to be on the reconstruction on the bottom color, because that action is more expensive, as you know. So also, we're going to be taking an opportunity to address what is bringing into our arterials. We have seen an increase in accidents on our arterials. And this is a trend coming out of the pandemic. You see that significant increase since coming out of the pandemic. This is not new to Tacoma. We have seen this trend, this trend at the state and the national level. Right out of the pandemic, we have seen an increase in seriously injured accidents as well as fatalities. So there's the streets initiative number 2. We're going to be able to focus not just on the PCI rating, the technical aspects of the roadway, but also we're gonna be able to address the safety, equity, and connectivity that we have in our roadways. Just to let you know that 64% of the city's high-risk roads are located on the low equity, city's equity index in the city. And the city has an equity index in which we measure the investment in some specific areas of the city. And you will see that when I get to the end of this presentation. And no surprise, last year we conducted a survey, and 83% of the residents of Tacoma expect more. They expect to be able to travel, walk, roll, or bike to the destination they want to be in a safe manner. And that's an expectation that we're going to be taking very seriously. So this is the ballot measure that you will see on April 22nd, 2025. It includes, this replaces the proposition number 3 that lapses at the end of this year. The utility tax that goes from 1.5% existing, we ask him to modest increase to 2%. And the existing 20 cents per 1,000 valuation is currently existing to a 25 cents per 1,000 valuation property tax. Those are the two elements that you will see the voters of Tacoma in April 22nd. Also, this ballot measure doesn't have a sunset date. And the reason is, and I'm going to circle back as to why. Because this initiative is concentrated on the system-wide. It's not targeted anymore to address residential streets or a particular road. The intent of this initiative is really to address the system needs in the city of Tacoma. In addressing the system needs, it doesn't have, with all the respect, doesn't have a timeline. Because as soon as we build something on the first year, 2 years of any initiative, in 10 years we need to come back and rehabilitate it and reconstruct it. And that is the best way we can manage the asset across the city. And that is the intent of this initiative, because the model behind this includes operations and maintenance as well. What you don't see is the 1/10 of 1% that was approved back in 2015 under Proposition A. The legislation provided the city council the ability to extend that consumatic. The city council, under the umbrella of the Transportation Benefit District, the same council members serve on that district, extended the 1/10 of 1% last December. And that also has the same purpose and intent to address the needs of the transportation and the system in Tacoma. With one caveat, they passed an amendment that will set aside 15% of the 1/10 of 1% to address specifically pedestrian safety needs in the system. And that is a mandate that we're planning to implement as we move along. So, you're probably going to be asking us, what is it that you're planning to do with all this? So we have taken a 15-year performance period in this case, including Proposition 1 and included the funding from the Transportation Benefit District, the 1/10 of 1%, and the existing $20 car top fee. We expect to generate in the next 15 years just about $540 million. Banking on the success of the streets initiative number 1, how much money have we been able to generate from federal? We assume in 15 years we're going to raise close to $360 million additional. So the value of this initiative, number 2, passes by the voters. In 15 years, we'll have a value of $900 million. And I'd like for you to pause on that number. $900 million investment on the streets of Tacoma in the next 15 years. We're going to be able to transform the city. And there's no doubt in my mind we will accomplish that objective. Out of the $900 million, then we're going to be, what is it that we're planning to be a little more specific, more granular. Then we're going to be concentrated in arterials, as I mentioned to you earlier. We're going to be focusing multimodal, pedestrian, bicyclists, as well as we'll continue to invest in the residential streets, because there's already close to 2,800 blocks that we need to touch. Streets initiative number 1 was not able to do. what is it we're gonna get out of this? What will be the output of this investment? We're planning to address the needs of between 1,100 to 1,400 lane miles of arterials. Our inventory on arterials is 860 lane miles. Why the higher number is because of the life cycle that I just mentioned to you. It's operations and maintenance. As soon as we touch an infrastructure at the beginning of the initiative, in 15 years, we have to come back and redo it. That is the only way that we can address the long-term needs of the system. The same target that we have on Canolo, we're planning to build between 250 to 300 miles of new. And that is just about the gap on the sidewalk system that we have in the city. We're going to be able, with this initiative, to close that gap on sidewalks. Also, we're going to be able to target between 130 and 170 miles of bicycle lanes. And obviously continue to invest on the residential blocks. And again, the numbers between 5,200 and 6,200 include touching the remainder of the residential blocks, as well as going back to those blocks that we just built under the streets initiative number 1, start rebuilding and maintaining and building. So some of the goals the city has, obviously, is the arterial improvements, the safety, multimodal, the repair and maintenance, and also the Vision Zero. In 2020, the city council passed an ordinance, the Vision Zero, that by 2035, the intent and the goal is to eliminate seriously injury accidents as well as fatalities in the streets of Tacoma. That is a high call, absolutely a high call. So that is in this initiative, safety is paramount as to how we need to address the needs of the city. And I think we're going to be able to do a big dent in achieving that objective, because that is a high objective. Because sometimes we cannot control traffic and drivers' behavior, and all that has to be a balance. So through all this, we have been able to identify what is the project criteria as to how we're going to identify some potential projects under the streets initiative. The equity accessibility, I'll briefly touch base on that. The equity index is going to be one of the elements we will be considering. The accessible routes, ADA, is a mandate by the federal government as to how we need to provide adequate access to those individuals with disabilities. Safe route to schools, that's a program, a robust program the city has. And also the routes to schools and parks. And we have been able to coordinate with Parks Tacoma, now Metro Parks, the old name. And they see this an opportunity for a partnership. Because as we look at any particular improvement, we cannot be looking on a linear basis. Because we need to be looking at the connectivity that particular project will have to parks and schools and everything else. And in fact, to the point, they both, I believe, Parks Tacoma as well as the school district has passed a formal resolution supporting this initiative. That's how important they see this investment. Public safety and Vision Zero, I just mentioned that to you. In connectivity, in community benefits. And that is what I call is the microcosmos of the neighborhoods. Because we can all talk about Portland Avenue, South Tacoma Way, and we need to invest on the livability of the microcosmos of our city. And those are our neighborhoods. And how we're going to be providing that connectivity with the neighborhoods that eventually is going to be connected to the larger system. And that is part of this initiative as well. Through this all, we have identified 3 types of projects. Arterials, as I mentioned to you, dealing with the condition of the arterial itself. Safety elements included in that. Just to give you a perspective, 1/3 of the inventory of the city streets are arterials. But 90% of the accidents happen on arterial roadways. So that lies the opportunities of how we need to address safety. The neighborhood greenways, I just touched base on the microcosmos of the neighborhoods as to how we're going to be able to address that. And also the Vision Zero continues to be the beacon as to how we need to achieve that objective in the policy the council passed. So that put us in the position to put some lines on the map. And this is what we call opportunity projects. And through this process, as you can see, we're going to be able to touch just about every single corner of the city. But I don't want you to take this as an end-all type of conversation. This is just the beginning of the conversation. And at the end of this presentation, I will give you a QR code in which you're going to be able to provide your perspective and give us your opinion as to how those projects you see from your perspective. And in fact, we have already received some community feedback, and we have added a couple of project locations, because if we ask the community to provide feedback, we're going to be responsive to that feedback as well. So I'd encourage you for you to do that as well. So here's the same projects that you see on the map. This is a little bit more into the District 1, District 2. I am not going to list every single line item, but the projects trying to blend every single aspect in terms of materials, neighborhood greenways, as well as divisions. So through the many presentations that we had going out to the community, somebody asked us, at the end of the day, I believe this economic benefit as well. And I absolutely agree, because all of us can agree to the fact that we have a safe, reliable transportation system is the backbone of our well-oiled machine of economic development, plain and simple. So we went back, and since 2020, the Streets in Nation #1 has invested and created 41,000 apprenticeship hours. We have been able to invest in 136,000 hours of work in journeymanship here in Tacoma. And we have been able to invest close to $9.3 million in wages paid to local businesses here in Tacoma. That is just since 2020. That's the only data that we have been able to secure. And that is missing the past 5 years of the Streets in Nation #1. So you can extrapolate those numbers, if you will. So why this is important? And from my perspective, this is not just important to address the cracks, the potholes on the arterials. This is important because this is the future for the city. As I mentioned to you, I'm totally convinced that if the voters entrusted us with this initiative, we're going to be able to transform the city in any aspect. And I have a personal goal. My personal goal is that in the years to come, the city of Tacoma will be the benchmark city across the state with this initiative. So here's the timeline that we have already put in place leading to the last bubble, which is April 22nd, 2025 ballot measure. Here's the QR codes that I mentioned, the one on the left. If you go into that part of our website, they'll give you much more information related to the projects that we have built under the Streets in Nation #1. The middle one, please disregard the dinosaur. is Streets in Nation #2, give you more detail on that. And also on the one on the right, that is one that takes you to a survey, community survey, that we will ask you to give us your perspective on the projects that you have envisioned at this point. Now you're open for questions.
Yes, what?
So you have listed something on your screen about a 20-minute neighborhood. What's that?
So that's the strategy that we have. The objective on the neighborhood greenways is to have walkable destinations within 20 minutes for where you live. Whether it's to parks, to schools, to commercial areas, that is the objective, is the 20-minute walking distance that we're planning to do. And we need a reliable transportation, obviously.
I have a question. What percentage?
What's your name?
My name is Alex.
Hey, thanks, Alex.
I have a question, two-part question. What percentage of the money has been spent on handicap ramps? And what's the reasonable turnaround time for an installation and complete of a handicap ramp? I know one that's been there for 8 months that's under construction and the roadway still not finished.
So under the streets initiative number 1, we as an initiative, we built close to 4,088 ramps.
What percentage?
I can't tell you the number because the situation changes a little bit, and let me tell you why. When you see an ADA ramp being built, so it will be easier if we just put that ramp. What we need to do is we need to design the drainage. We need to make sure that we don't provide water in front of the ramp. We need to make sure that we don't put a catch basin in front of the ramp. So then the stormwater needs to be designed. And also the slopes on an ADA ramp are critical. Is a maximum 12%. So depending on the terrain, so each ramp may be designed a little bit different. In the long term, as I mentioned to you, the federal government, the Department of Justice requires the city to have a plan. And we just received a $600,000 grant that we're going to be embarking on revamping the plan where we're going to identify the gaps on the ADA ramps as well as the gaps on the sidewalks in the system. So we're going to be targeting those to address as we move along.
And how long should it take for them to finish a ramp?
It all depends. And I have to tell you, in some instances, we can probably do it in 3 weeks.
In some instances, a whole year?
Not necessarily, depending on the components of the rest of the project.
You can give me the name of the address and I can look it up for you. Just get a hold of you.
That's the right answer.
Yep.
Hello, thank you for coming. My name is.
Yes.
My name is Linda Kibitz. I applaud you that you want Tacoma to be the place in the state. But I'm wondering what grade you would give yourself of the initiative that's ending now, right? December of 24, the 20 cents per 100,000. If you were the principal of the school, what grade would you give yourself in accomplishing what you thought you would with that one?
A+.
And could you tell us why?
And
what is it that you achieve that gives you an A+, which would inspire us voters?
Yeah,
to
no,
vote
I
yes
appreciate
again?
that.
Yeah.
Back in 2015, we set a goal of 5,600 residential blocks that we will be touching. We have been able to do beyond that by the end of this year. 6,000 residential blocks plus. Back in 2015, we envisioned the value of this initiative will be about $320 million. Today's $400 million. We're going to be able to invest in the city. At that point, we assumed that we're going to be building some sidewalks. We're going to be able to build 42,000 linear feet of sidewalks. At that point, we envisioned to build some street beacons, including in school zones. We're going to be able to close to 50 since that initiative passes. Going back to ADA ramps, we envisioned we will do something with ADA ramps because that's a requirement. We strategically invested in ADA ramps and we built close to 4,000 ADA ramps. So the success is on the numbers. The success is what we have been able to build. If you put them in that principal category, so it is an A+.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mark Anderson. Thank you for your presentation. In light of the current federal fiscal landscape, how do you anticipate this plan changing? Because you have said that some of it, at least, depends on federal grants.
Thank you. We have let me answer that first of all at a high level. This is a long-term strategy. This is not a 4-year strategy or name your strategy. So we are planning to navigate through whatever currents they come our way, and we'll continue to invest what I believe is the right thing to do. The dependency of the federal grants, as you can see, is $360 million. That includes state grants and partnerships. It's still be part of our model, but it's not the main focus of this initiative. It's the investment that you will entrust the city with your vote is what is really going to matter into the future.
Carol Webster, and my question is very similar to my neighbor Mark's. And I was going to ask you about the assumption with state funding, because that's certainly in danger.
Yeah, as you know, I think we just got the new numbers on the gap. The state is facing this budget season as an additional $1 billion what they need to come up with. But there's two components, as you know, the operational budget and the transportation budget. And also I believe there's elements on the constitution of the state, the portions of the gas tax needs to come for specific grants to local jurisdictions. I don't expect that to change. What I expect to change is the reliance of the gas tax in the long term. And that is the reality, because the vehicles across the nation is changing. It's a lot more electric vehicles, and we will not be able to capture, the electric vehicles using the same infrastructure the gas vehicles use. And you could, if you're tracking the conversation at the legislature, there's some options to how we can capture down the road. But going back to the state grants, there's not reliable grants as far as I know.
Thank you. We have one more question, Mayor. Thank you. One more.
Hi, my name is Elisa Lee. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be supporting this initiative, but I just have a couple questions. It's a two-part question. The first is, how do you guys determine what areas are high risk on those district lists that you had? How did you get there? And then also, what's the best way to submit a location or intersection for consideration? I've heard some concerns from constituents on the east side. So
Speaking of streets initiative number 2, the high risk locations are purely data-driven accidents. And that's what we have, is those that the high risk accident locations. How you can probably provide some suggestions as to what other projects that we can include in this initiative, please take the survey and we'll take your feedback very soon.
Okay, I just
want
to say one thing. I want to thank Ramiro for taking all of your questions. I did want to say that our first model was just about residential streets and pavement. And our next model is really about complete streets and about multimodal and about pedestrians, and really concentrating for me on Vision Zero, which is about trying to keep fatalities from happening. And I will say, I just found out that the Port Commission on Tuesday night voted unanimously to support the street initiative too. And I think that knowing that the port, which is our economic engine here, supports this should be a big deal to you as well. So I just thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your very, very good presentation. I know I learned a lot and appreciate it. And we have a book that we'd like you to take back autograph for us, and we're going to put it in our little free libraries. It's called To Kill a Mockingbird. So if you can autograph it, we'll put it in one of those little free libraries. Okay. One second.
Show your butt.
Oh.
Show the front of your butt too. Thank you. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I want to stay in good favor with Chris. I think we've got about 6 minutes. I'm going to give you guys a choice. You folks a choice. Would you like table talk or true confessions? True confessions it is. Who's got something they'd like to come up and talk about? True confessions. Anybody have any true confessions? Come on up. I see Mark. I see Becky. Come on up. Mark.
I'll be quick. Mark Anderson, paying a fine because I haven't been here.
We miss you, Mark. Thank you, Mark.
Becky Fontaine. I'll add to Dan's poor or sad or melancholy attitude, but I will be joining the ranks of you retired people in the room and leaving the Red Cross effective April 18th.
2 weeks, and my name is Barbara Wyatt, 2 weeks in Istanbul with Rotarians for the peace project that we have going. I didn't know anything about it. Rotary has 7 universities where they're giving out fully rides, 2-year master programs, teaching people about conflict resolution and how to do peace and water rights and how to negotiate that. They just opened another one in Istanbul. $15.5 million donation from a Rotarian to open it. Phenomenal experience was going on with Rotary. This has been going on since 1999. They already have 2,000 peace graduates that are distributed around the world to help resolve stuff. And one of these universities is in Uganda, where Ruth is from.
First and foremost, To Kill a Mockingbird is my favorite book. I actually have a giant tattoo on my back of one of the covers because it's just my favorite book. And because it's really about the relationship between a brother and a sister. And I had an amazing experience traveling to Japan with my brother a couple weeks ago. It was phenomenal. If anybody has a trip planned to Japan, please come talk to me. We'd love to tell you about my experience. And it couldn't have come at a better time because I actually got laid off from my job. So, as always with Rotarians, you are amazing at relationship and relationship building. And so I know that some of you know some good opportunities out there for me. So please come talk to me. I'm Dexter again, and I'd like to tell you about a fantastic project that takes approximately 1 hour of your time, and you'll see it on the gear shift coming up. It's Talk Time at Tacoma Community House. You will just be amazed and have a fantastic time. There are refugees and immigrants who are learning English, and they just want to talk to a regular American in colloquial English. So you sit down and, hello, where are you from? It has been amazing. I've met Cambodian monks who are now working at the Cambodian temple. I met a journalist from Egypt, women from India, several people from Ukraine. It's a fantastic experience. So look at your gear shift. It's usually on a Thursday, and there are 3 times during the day that you can choose to go. One is 10:30 in the morning. The other is 1:30 in the afternoon. So Jan Brassel and her husband Wolfgang and my husband and I go at 1:30 right after Rotary. And then there's another opportunity at 6:30 in the evening. So you could do it after work. But do it. Not only will it help the refugees and immigrants to improve their English, but you will have a fantastic experience. Thanks.
Thanks, Carol. I'd like to echo, I've done that before. It's an hour well spent. It's an hour. And what you do is they have different tables set up in the room, and you go from table to table. And I learned a lot more than anybody listening to me learned, I'll tell you that. It was a wonderful experience. So thanks, Carol. We've got some announcements here. Do we have a slide for that, Randy?
We sure do.
We got a slide for that. Thank you. Raffle tickets, $50 each, chance to win $1,000. And we've still got raffle tickets for sale. And who's got the raffle tickets for sale?
Oh. Have we bought them or have we?
Where are they? Where are they for sale?
We all have them outside.
Right at the table, okay. The table, before you leave, you can pick up raffle ticket. Next item, auction tickets are available, and you can find the link in the gear shift on the home page, or you can scan this QR code to get auction tickets. Next week, we're going to honor Kwabi Amoa Forson. He's recipient of the 2025 Community Service Award. And I'm pretty sure most of you have heard of Kwabi. He drives a peace bus, and he delivers meals and messages of peace and unity to children throughout Pierce County. And please register online for that meeting also. And I might add to this also, the district meeting will be here in Tacoma for our 50-20 district. And Kwabi's actually going to be a speaker at the whole district meeting here in May. And so we're looking for people to attend that also. We've got Friday, Saturday, Sunday, a lot of Rotary things. I see Linda Kay shaking her head back there. Anything you'd like to add, Linda Kay?
I will just tell you that youth are involved. Come represent Tacoma and see the fantastic youth and what they're gonna do in this conference. You'll just knock yourself.
Yes.
Well, following on to that, since I haven't had a chance to talk to Harrison and Jim, there's a special rate for Rotaractors and Interactors that want to come just for lunch and dinner on Saturday and don't want to do the whole program. And so get in touch with me and I'll hook you up, okay?
And it's the 30th, 31st, isn't it? Is that the?
Yeah, 30th and 31st.
Perfect. It's last weekend in May, so put that on your calendar. I'll be registered. I'll be there also. I know several of us will.
Memorial Day comes earlier.
Yeah, Memorial Day is the week before.
Following Memorial Day.
Right.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, community service projects coming up. First one up there, Emergency Food Network, Saturday. Sonia and I will be, anybody else going to Emergency EFN on Saturday? I see the same hands. Great opportunity. Break bags, we're going to be doing on Saturday. And so great opportunity. Sign up or show up. It's noon to 2:30 out at EFN. So good. Also, we have an opportunity, Tacoma Rescue Mission for breakfast on the 28th. And that's another great service opportunity. We did lunch last Friday, and now it's open for breakfast also. And with that, we're almost on time, Chris. Thank you, Program Ramiro, and I think he left. Meeting sponsor, Dan Worth, technical support, Randy over on the soundboard, greeter, Kathy Hall, four-way test, Ioana Egan's, auction announcements, Cindy and Kathy, and story writer Michael Holloway, and thank you. And so, I lost my hammer. Where's my hammer? That's back to Rotary.
Hey, how did you not see those?
Good job. Thank you. You know, my organization is religious, and 20 years ago, they were like, having these societies that are not religious. Wherever you are.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Is this an elite group?
Yeah, absolutely.
Very elite, yes, very elite.
We're the short call.
So my kids used to call my haircut.
My brother calls it a big one.
Well, we went over a couple minutes. Congratulations, thank you.